Hey, how you guys doing? It's producer from Brothers Comics. Welcome to the Marvel Hacks. It's our X-Men 97 recap, y'all. We are 2 weeks late because of life and stuff, but we are going to recap the entire thing, the Rise of Apocalypse and Weapon X lies and DVDs here today. We will try to keep y'all in our normal time frame of being at about an hour, but you know how that goes every once and then. On the line is Brother Beaver. Say what's happening, man. From Cerebro as usual if you're watching on YouTube.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Hey,
yeah, man, we're gonna jump right into it. Come on, I got you covered here. I got you covered. Again, the side brother topics are the things that take us off, but we're good. So to recap, our previous episode did the first two of season 3 because they were a standalone story about the story of Apocalypse in the future with Nathan Dave Sprague and Cable, and we gave you all of that. We gave you all the comic book information that you would have wanted to know. The teaser part was being about the Rise of Apocalypse in the past. We gave you all the comic book information you would need to know. But we didn't do that episode because they debuted 3, which in a sense doesn't make any sense, but whatever, schedule that Disney's on. And so we had decided, okay, well, we'll just recap both of those. But then something happened. I couldn't be here. And we just going to do those 2 Apocalypse episodes like we planned, and Weapon X lies and videotapes. Or DVDs on the back half of this. So it's 2 shows in one, essentially. Like I said, I can try to get you in and out in an hour, but Brother Beavis is a challenge accepted, as Barney Stinson would say. So here we go. Get this to work. All right, so part Rise of the Apocalypse, we gave you the comic book part of this. It was a miniseries from 1997 of the same name. All the X-Men stuff that you see in this cartoon is made for TV. Okay, the comic book, it does have name redacted, which we'll get to here momentarily, but it also has the Fantastic Four in it, and it's really not X-Men centric really at all. And you know, the story is very similar. You know, he was born a slave, you know, but again, his story is, you know, his lack of acceptance, his lack of a love interest in the book kind of turns him evil a little bit, and where he rises up to become the Apocalypse that we all know and love. Would that be fair? We talked about this last time. You have these books floating somewhere in your house, correct?
Yeah. Whereas I did go back and read the episode of The Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix. It was terrible. Like, I kind of knew this one was terrible, so I read the wiki on it, and I was like, yeah, no need for that.
It more than enough covered what it actually was. So when we jump back into the past, y'all, this is where we are. We are in 3000 BC or something to that effect. Another theme I'm going to pick up on here between this episode and the next one. There's a lot of, hey, Scoob, let's split up, gang. But splitting teams up to be doing certain things and chasing MacGuffins or whatever, but everybody splits up in these things. So it's 3000 BC. We got Magneto, we got Professor Xavier, we got Beast, we got Nightcrawler and Rogue as our X-Men team there. Apocalypse has been a freed slave by it doesn't talk about it in here, but it's essentially Ball is the person that frees him. They lead a bunch of red troops or red shirts called the Sand Troopers. And basically they've gotten to this point where they've been time displaced. Magneto has become this mentor to Apocalypse, essentially saying like, well, you don't really need to stomp out the people that are weaker than you, giving him this bastardized version of Xavier's dream. And Apocalypse, he's been open to this overrun humanity, but actually tried to coexist and work with them. What are you doing?
When has manipulating the time stream ever gone wrong? Like, they're like, let's do this thing 5,000 years before it pays off. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure everything will be the same. except Gambit will be there. I guess Magda, everybody gets
and Genosha won't be destroyed.
What could happen in 5,000
years?
We just set this.
Nothing.
That was the stretch. I think this is like a blue and gold split on like the teams. Like, look at who's in the first half. Gene, Wolverine. Like, they could go on some cops, as Big Hutch would say, because they got.
Rogue. Magneto is super powerful, which is going to be demonstrated here very soon. But Xavier's worthless, Nightcrawler's worthless, Beast is worthless, and Rogue is still all busted up from what happened to Gambit. So it ain't your strongest team, that's for sure.
As strong as she is right now.
Yeah. So basically, they know, and the X-Men have been working on trying to find a way home. They've been using Rama Tut's technology, which is clearly from the future, and they just don't have enough power. That's basically what Beast has come up with. There's just not enough power in the machinery that we have stolen to be able to power this device to get us home. So that's our setup for really the first these two episodes, and the theme plays through. So it is the rise of Apocalypse. So they're going to go and make a storm, no pun intended. They are going to storm the Rama Tut to try to take him over. He goes out there and gives quite the Braveheart speech. We get the survival of the fittest chant, at the end there, and a bunch of red shirts for his sandstorms. Like, as soon as they open the door, like, yeah! And then they pretty much all get wiped out. It's pretty much only him and Ball left by that. They had nothing. They have nothing.
Did you say they needed 1.21 gigawatt? They
said we ain't got enough power, son. So they try to do this thing, and Logos is the leader of Rama Tut's army or whatever, and they wipe most of the sand troopers out. They get to En Sabah Nur, and he hulks up, so to speak, and he gets inside the castle. He throws a freaking elephant by its tusk and spins it around like in a very this dude is real powerful kind of way. And he gets to the point where he has Logos, dead to rights, and he's about to take his head under Ball's instruction, but Magneto gives him a disapproving parent look. And he doesn't do it. It doesn't feel authentic in that regard, but I understand what they're going as you go through the story. But in that last moment, he doesn't even stop him. He's going to stop him later on with magnetism. But in that moment, it feels like that should have been the time where he stopped him with the magnetism. You think, or just a dirty look is good enough from the parent?
Yeah, I mean, like. It doesn't at any time seem like Apocalypse really wants this. Like, he's like, okay, I guess since you said I can't kill people, I ain't gonna kill people. But like he was never really good, and this is a pipe dream by Magneto. But the hallmark of the show is a sort of like plot line, storyline, script. So like we're getting a lot of Apocalypse evolution in a short period of time. So here's what we got.
Yeah. The flip side of that defense, or if I may offer, the flip side of that is Apocalypse kind of sucks. So
I agree.
Getting through it and quickly is actually pretty good because, again, we all know how this was going to end anyway. So, and again, Xavier knows how it's going to end. He keeps telling Magneto, and Beast is too. It's this is inevitable. Like, what we're doing is not going to work. And Beast calls it out later. Xavier calls it out early. Like, even though Xavier goes along the plot into the second episode, but this isn't going to work at all. So why are we even trying to do this? And just, it'll come up here in a bit. And Magneto's just obsessed with the idea of what happened to Genosha. Like, we need to really fix that. And instead of jumping far ahead and getting us to, Krakoa and, and repopulating the mutant population, he thinks that he can go back in time and fix it, which is, I mean, like, whatever. I mean, it's a comic book plot. It's not like it's out of the ordinary for what we're talking about, but yeah, it's interesting. All right. Like I said, right, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say like, and did we establish that like Apocalypse's actual mutant power is like blue and
Yeah.
strength? Like he's just strong. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's got to come up when we get to the Ascension, but yes, right now he's just strong and blue. Yeah, and ugly, I believe, is also his mutant power.
Meanwhile, the other two blue mutants happen to be. So.
Yeah, yeah. Are we related? But okay. So all blue people look alike. Anyway,
there'll be a story where we find out Mystique and Sabretooth are his dad. So, or his
but anyway, so Magneto, if we can turn her now, it'll erase like all of this stuff. I mean, yeah, don't fuck with the timeline, Barry. It doesn't really work out that way. Embrace Xavier's dream, even though it is kind of a bastardized version of it. So they realize that something's going on with Logos, that he knows more information during the interrogation process. It's like, okay, I'm going to go into his mind or whatever and see what's happening. But a lot of it is blocked. Like once he gets inside there, he hears all of these voices, a voice that sounds, vaguely familiar to us from the previous cartoon, maybe, or at least words from the previous cartoon. It's just, all of this stuff is leading up to, it's leading up to this, what's going to happen, where they eventually find out that the X-Men are time travelers, or they find their Beast secret lab where they had been working on this time traveling dimension part of it. And, and Sabanur is unhappy with this. It's like, what is this? What are these symbols? What are you building a weapon to try to destroy me? Ball is like, man, I told you so, son. They're not who they say they are. We need to do something about that. Logos gets his head completely lopped off. And while that is happening, Ramatut is watching what happens through the chopped off head of Logos. But yeah, that's it. Okay, so we talked about this about Jubilee. Can we talk about how Bishop got a glow up here too? That they actually have. I think they have done a much better job with Bishop in this series than they've done in the previous series.
I mean,
besides the haircut,
He does. Yeah, his haircut. It depends on how you feel about the Jerry Curl mullet. It is spectacular, but probably is a thing of its own time. But he doesn't make the I'm a cop speeches as much as he used to. I think that's a positive thing.
Yeah.
He's good for one shot. He shoots people and then discharge and he shoots so he gets a couple big shots. I guess he's I don't know. He's all right. I think they still got some work to go relative to the other glow ups, let's say.
Okay. The bar is the floor for Bishop on this show, though, too, because it was so bad before. The haircut, I think, is definitely a good idea that they did that. Time to empty the reserves. He also got stuff. We need to get you back to the 1990s. That line, it's killed me every single time at this point. I'm almost on the floor laughing. But
I wonder if his original stories were kind of bastardized. I don't even know that they get to the XSE. They had got Fitz Richard in there, but it's unclear how his cartoon counterpart relates to his comic book counterpart to me. But
side brother topic. So again, this show, not necessarily this episode, but the next episode is just full of references to the original series. So I went back and I watched, a couple of episodes, the start of season 3, which was the alien invasion with Mariko or Yuriko and the alien ship that comes down there. I watched Obsession, which is where Archangel gets obsessed with trying to kill like Apocalypse, and that episode. And I think I watched it. Oh, and the Brood, air quotation, episode. I want to go. I'm going to get you, Cody. This is
Cody like, okay, guess we're not doing that.
You know what? Maybe not. Two things. That episode is awful. But as I was going through, I was like, wait, there's 5 seasons of this show? And the final season is like 10 episodes, and they tried to do the Fallen Covenant, which is a terrible comic book story, so there's no way they could make a good cartoon version, especially not that cartoon. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to literally sit down and watch all of this because it's so terrible. And just for torture purposes, because, oh my God, it just looks so bad.
Yeah,
but anyway, so Ramatut's watching, and then his decision is like, you know what? Like, this thing with Ner is not going to happen. He sends a blast to destroy the temple, and that's how season 2, episode 3 ends, like on a cliffhanger to be continued type of situation. Okay. So then we get into episode 4, which is the second part of the Rise of Apocalypse, and Ball gets killed in that blast, as they get through. Ner is super upset because Magneto was able to save essentially everybody but him. It's like, I can only get that force field out so far, son. My bad. And so he's ready to go all the way off, but Xavier's able to talk to him like, no, we are lost travelers. We just didn't tell you we were lost travelers from 5,000 years into the future. So Ner begins to trust Xavier, but not Magneto. And Bishop is like, what the hell is wrong with you people? I think he literally says that. What the hell? Am I the only person that hasn't lost their mind here? Like, that's what I was saying. Like, this is like that version. Like, I was like, he's speaking what I would have said. Like, what are y'all doing here? It's time to go, and it's been time to go. And then they try to be like, look,
leave this haunted house, y'all.
Yeah, exactly. The car didn't have any brakes, but I'm gonna just keep driving it. So they're like, no, okay, and they're ready to leave, and everybody's like, what does he say? I think Beast says something along the lines of like, well, democracy hadn't been invented for like 1,000 or so years, but I think we should vote. And Magneto's like, yeah, and destroys the time bands, which really like
that was great.
Yeah.
That was great. They're like, oh, what'd you do? I voted.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's like, oh, it's fine. You'll just invent a new time machine. It's fine. Yeah. It's fine. Yeah. We'll get out of
here. Magneto, official sponsor of the Save America Act. Because I was like, what in the world, man? Like, how did you take that from everybody, their ability to be able to do this? But yeah, he destroys the time band. So now they're stuck there. And then Xavier gets into this. It's not a bit, but he's like, look, I'm going to explain all of this to you. My team, that thing that you hold, we're the X-Men. We come from a future where there's, thousands of mutants, like, working to try to coexist with humanity. You don't have to destroy the world. And he's giving him his like kind of version of his dream, and allowing him to, hey, this is really what it is. And between Magneto's speech and Xavier's speech, he still is a little bit not confused, but at least willing to listen to this idea that, I don't have to destroy humanity. I could actually save it. And, that actually works for him. But, we got to figure out how we're going to do this and how to get back in time. And so they need to go ahead and figure out where Ramatut's secret power temple is. He saw it in Logos's mind, but it was kind of blocked from seeing it. And so Ner allows him to go into his mind and be able to see that, pain calms me, he told him that it was actually going to hurt. We get all the little flashbacks really from the comic book too, from the Rise of Apocalypse, him as a slave, him sleeping by himself, in the code, this whole survival of the fittest bit. And, so we get the celestial Isan, his eyes in the sky, like that's where it is. And they believe that's where the secret temple is. The gardener's gaze, I believe, is the official term. And we're going to talk about Isan here in a little bit, but aside for the topic, I have never sat through that movie like at all. I've tried like a
The
bunch,
the
but I just can't
Eternals.
do it. Yes.
Yeah, the
Have
Eternals
you?
is
Have you sat
like
through the entire movie?
it's a oh yeah, I've seen it. It's like it looks great, but like there's too many characters and none of them are great. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I yeah, I mean it's like I said, it looks great. There's great scenes and whatever, but yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, things are happening, but yeah, I can't do it. So, but this is also now and something that you've talked about really since we've been doing this show is using the cartoons to blend in elements of the MCU. Like, well, we can't really
Mhm.
tell a full Eson story or something like that. We can blend these little things in to give a hint that these are connected universes, which this is clearly done. Like Eson's in what Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
Where they've already introduced the Eternals and all the second half movies here. With probably the biggest appearance being in the Captain America movie with Falcon. So, like, I think this is a way of moving everything forward. And there's a whole theory about that too in regards to mutants and Isan and this power. But like, I think this is finally your vision coming to life, so to speak, of these movies being connected to the MCU.
yeah, and I think you can do so much more in the cartoons. Like it just makes sense. Like I'd rather watch a half-hour cartoon with a big cosmic super battle looks great, look a lot great GI fest third act to a movie that just like looks completely flat. So, I mean,
Right.
there's certainly comic books that make for good movies, but like to me, the more fantastical stuff, like all that, if you were ever to do like Fantastic Four, Negative Zone bullshit, or even like
Yeah.
Quantumania, all of that like would have been better as just like a cartoon, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. And them willing to embrace that moving forward is probably progress, question mark. Um,
Mhm.
So I'm down with that part of it for sure. All right.
But the problem is, like, it straddles the people that are going to pay, hundreds of millions of dollars for the movie aren't going to sit through like something like this and be like, oh, I recognize that scene from a comic. I recognize that from here to there. Like, it's just,
Right.
it's still this kind of challenge of like, who are we serving? Are we trying to get that?
Mhm.
We trying to get that mainstream money? Are we trying
Right.
to like, satisfy the comic book nerds? And
Yeah.
so it's to me it's like you 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 satisfy, you go for the mainstream money, but you put the teasers in there just to keep the nerds from being outraged. It's kind of
Yeah.
like, I think that's the bet that the MCU has made, and when they've kept it, they've done well. When they try and deviate, like, it just doesn't go well.
I saw something online. It was like, when you put these things in there, whether you call them Easter eggs or whether you call them connected parts of your universe, for the person that's just going to go see the movie one time, it completely skips over their head. But
Mhm.
to the hardcore comic book nerd, because they're going to go, shout out to Sandman, they're going to go see Batman versus Superman 3 times. And because now, like, I'm looking for those things, and then it's oh, did you see that part? And I have several thousand questions to be able to explain it comic book nerdy when I watch it to whoever my other comic book nerd friends are. So I think that's what it is. It's the repeat viewer, that's
Yeah,
going to go see the movie multiple times because of those types of things, not the person that just showed, like my wife is going to just show up to the movie to see it one time with everybody, but she doesn't care about any of those types of things. So, all
yeah.
right. All right. So, yeah. So they go travel to the temple. They camp out at night. Rogue, again, devastated by Gambit, like her whole bit and siding with Magneto is that maybe we could overturn Genosha and get Gambit back. It's the only reason, because it's all about love. Nerds like, yeah, that's weakness. That's really from that. That's literally from the comic book. It was literally from the comic book. Ball had said that to him in the comic. Like that. Love is weakness. Because again, in the comic book, a big subplot of that is him falling in love with somebody and being rejected, which again turns him into an incel. So in in
And he starts look maxing and bone smashing and
yeah,
everything else.
exactly. Yeah, he's gonna start doing all of those things.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's look at that taper. Apocalypse, you got that taper.
Oh goodness. So anyways, they go into Xavier's trying to get some sleep, and then Ramatut comes to him. Did you notice that looked like Cerebro that he put on
Yeah,
his head?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, yeah.
100%.
And I was like, oh wait, he's walking with a Cerebro there too. And then he's like, who are you? Xavier. He's like, I got many names: Nathaniel, Victor, Kang, blah 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 blah. And you hear all the different voices going on in his head, saying and doing these things while they're talking. And Xavier calls it out. It's like, you're all the same person. Like, he recognized, like, yo, you're some sort of time traveler or something. And, what is your whole goal here? And he wants to stop Ner too, but not because he's, worried about the future of humanity. He wants to be able to conquer this timeline. And, to get to the temple where the Celestial is, finally, let's split up, gang. So they go to search for the power, and it's so, like, now that I call it out, if you didn't see it before, now you're like, damn, again, they're gonna split the team up. So Xavier and Bishop and Ner go to one side, Beast, Rogue, and Magneto on the other, and then Beast realizes eventually here, like, hey, wait a second, we're in Ship. And I watched that episode, like I said, this is from our timeline. Like, Ship was a weapon of Apocalypse. Like, now Beast puts it all together too. Like, oh crap, we're in trouble. And then on Xavier's and Bishop's side, once they get inside that part of the temple, they see all the hieroglyphs of, like, Apocalypse rising to power. And he's like, wait a minute, this is me. Like, hold on a second. Like, this is me. Like, yeah. And then Xavier has a great line, like, through, telepathy. Yeah, he knows everything. We need you here immediately. Like, oh my God. Like, he's recognizing, like, we're doomed here. And he's like, you're stopping me from being who I was always meant to be. And then we get to that part where, Eason is drawing Ner to come, into this thing with that big old, which is kind of goofy. I thought, like, okay, so you already know what he's going to look like here, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But yeah, and they try to stop him from getting into that to have this transformation process, which I thought was actually kind of cool. And again, a lot of the glyphs that are in there, if you go back and watch Obsession from the original series, like, you'll see, like, the same glyphs that are in there and their ability to pull the things between both series. Again, I know I said this in the group chat or whatever. Like, I mean, is OnlyFans really that bad for Bowden Mayo? Can y'all at least give him his job back if that's the reason you fired him? I mean, because I really do concern myself with this idea that, like, this series without somebody that has a real love for the original series could probably fall apart very, very quickly. But yeah. So there's that.
But is he writer or producer of these things?
Both.
Or all things?
Yeah. Okay. So showrunner, and then on some episodes you see that he's writing them too. And this will come to tie it back all together. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, because they do have people from the original production team that are part of this, right?
Yeah, like Larry Houston, I think, is still one of the live. Yeah. Avi Arad, I believe, is still too. But so we get to the Ascension. So he stops them. He goes into this thing and he gets transformed from Insaba Nur into Apocalypse. I saw this online. So that's the Power Stone. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because that is the Infinity Stone that Eason had in whatever that movie where he killed everything, which I think was Guardians. And I saw
that.
Yeah, so the Power Stone actually is the thing that transforms Apocalypse or Insaba Nur into Apocalypse. And yeah, at that point it's on. So, like, we are good to go. The crash against the rocks of the Eternal Shore and be broken. Like, all of those lines that you hear Apocalypse shout, they came from Eason. And he's like, you will destroy, like, everything. like that is your whole purpose here is to do that. And then once Magneto and the rest of the team gets there, Magneto realizes like, oh yeah, we done messed up, but maybe we can still stop him before he becomes like, you know, a god amongst men. And so he activates the time bands and he sends the team out. Excuse me, Xavier doesn't make it through from the blast that's coming there, but yeah. So now Apocalypse has his mutant power. Is that what we're led to believe?
Well, so I think he has his mutant power, but most of his power derives from the celestial armor that's now grafted on him. So I think all his like shape shifting and size alteration, all that sort of thing, I think that actually comes from this celestial armor that he now occupies. Mm-hmm. But other than that, he was just, I guess this is probably like a Infinity Gauntlet situation. Like he was strong, like you had to be strong enough to actually be exposed to the power of the glove, without getting your arm burned off. I'm talking about you, Hulk. So I think that's maybe he was strong enough to be able to survive the process of getting this armor on him. I guess not unlike Wolverine getting adamantium or whatever. But I think all his like weird stuff that never made any sense, like his energy blast and growing and all that, I think that comes from the armor.
Yeah,
is what we're led to believe.
Well, I mean, it's fine because when we're watching the stuff in the Rise of Apocalypse part of this, like you don't really see him use a mutant power other than I'm strong. Like, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Throwing elephants around.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's not doing anything but being strong. So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that's what we're doing now. But so now I am Apocalypse. He's been transformed. And Kang sees this and he's like, you know what? I'm a dip. Like it's not gonna work. We get the Eternal. We get the Eternal from Eternally Yours from season 1 as well, right? Yeah, Thieves and Assassins.
Yeah, that's like episode 5, I think.
Yeah, we've imitated the voices 1,000 times on this podcast. Been going on for years. Yeah, it's just a classic OG series there, but she is an Eternal herself, and I don't know how that's a job.
She was external. They called her an external. Right?
That's right. Yeah. Yes. But also, isn't that a job to motion? Like you're out here working with these people as opposed to working for Rama Tut. Like I think maybe she got downsized. Something. It's not a great job.
Like she was the number 2 to somebody who was exploiting all the slaves to build their empire.
Yeah.
And she goes back to exploiting the Thieves and Assassins Guild. I think this is just a parasitic sort of mob boss type role. It just shows that that's a future-proof profession. Like AI is not going to take that. You'll still be able to like get a racket on somebody else's business.
Noted. We could also go to the fact of like, hey, we just made 2 episodes and ain't no black women in this in Egypt. Maybe we should probably do something about that. Oh yeah, let's put the Eternal in it. Like out of nowhere, like nobody's thinking about that. Yeah, that's fair. So whatever. So anyway, yeah, Kang dips out completely, and then Apocalypse is like, that's it. Like I'm good at this point. Destroy that destroy the city. Take it to atoms, I do believe is what his actual thing was. And then he and Magneto, Magneto attempts to stop him, but he's just very, very powerful at this time. Xavier tries to do the thing, where he makes him relive his past to try to get the pain, which he did to, Magneto in the comic books and other people, look at all the pain that you've caused or you've been through and it doesn't really work. It's just there. So Magneto gets to the point where like,
pain calms him.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to stop this whole thing, Charles. I'm going to do it. And, he gets the ship and, he uses his powers to stop the city from being destroyed and throws the ship into there. But it leaves him very, very weak. And when Apocalypse finds him eventually, he has him captured, right from Xavier. And there's a really cool shot where he's like standing over Magneto, but looking down also at Charles on the ground there. And, he basically is like, yeah, you know what? Lie to him like you did to me and tell him that everything is going to be okay. Yeah, I was like,
that was
that's
pretty
a
cool.
great line. Yes, that was a great line. Well, Xavier's retort after is actually pretty cool. But like, he's like, okay, yeah, and then he vaporizes him, and and Magneto's dead, and now it's just comic book, y'all. So allegedly, and then Xavier's retort back is just like, your mother should have left your ass in the desert. Like, yeah, no, like, she knew the pain you were going to cause. She should have left you there to die. And he tells him, like, you're never going to be a god. You're always going to be just an absolute monster, And again, Xavier has the wisdom of time on his hand, knowing that all the trouble that Apocalypse is going to cause, even though they're able to stop him, air quotations, they're not able to ever eliminate him because he always finds a way to survive and and move on. So, we get that line, Big Will Stacks crowded out, only a coward, feels mighty stepping on ants when he could have killed Xavier, and he just walks on past him. And then the episode ends with Bishop coming back in time and time swiping Xavier back to the 90s. And that's the rise of Apocalypse. So overall,
I think it was nice of Bishop to not say, "I told y'all, stop fucking around."
He probably should have. Be like, man, y'all some bullshit. So, but yeah. So, I mean, again, I thought the 2 episodes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought it was all right. Like it's definitely an origin story. This one in particular, like the ties into Kang, things like that. You always have to. I guess we'll probably hit this, but like you wonder what if with the a certain person's misstep, another person's missteps in the MCU that deprived us of some potentially good storylines. So it was good. Like this is, if you go to like who's got the most complicated backstory, obviously Cable number 1, Jean probably number 2, Apocalypse could be a strong number 3. So
yeah.
But what I'm wondering is, I mean, obviously we know we're getting Gambit back as a Horseman.
Yeah.
I'm assuming now we get Magneto back as a Horseman. Are the other 2 Horsemen going to be somebody of significance, or just like some red shirts to round out the team?
Yeah. They've also fucked the timeline. So I think we talked about this in the previous episode. That's how I think we're going to get to the Frank Quietly X-Men version, because we've seen that there. It very much feels like we're going to be all over the timeline in these different eras in this season. But I'm curious. I thought that the 2 of them together, I thought were fine enough. I thought 2 episodes was more than enough to get it, but also it's comic books. So like, we know Magneto's not dead. He's too important to the entire series. It gets like we knew Gambit's not going to really be dead. It's a hot, button in the moment, but it's not like, he's coming back. Like, all those people are coming back, which is fine. Again, they come back in the comic books, they're going to come back here. But I just thought that, together, these 2 episodes, okay, you're taking the Rise of Apocalypse miniseries from 1997, which was ass awful, and you put it into 2, like an hour episode essentially, and I wouldn't say redeemed it, but at least you gave it a better run than they did, and they had 4 issues to do it. So, well done.
Well, we talked a little bit this last time. Like, one of the weaknesses to me of those prequel books is it becomes a story that there's nobody else like involved in it. Like, you got AKA Cyclops and Jean in the future, but it's with basically maybe a cameo teaser or 2, but they're fighting somebody in the future that means nothing. Like, same thing with the Rise of Apocalypse. It's kind of in the past, like fighting nobody really connected. So to actually put the X-Men and tie it back into the actual continuity and story makes the whole thing a lot more interesting to me.
Yeah, I agree. You alluded to this. This is how we're going to end this one before we start the next one. So, biggest fumbles. Can we talk biggest fumbles? Okay, there was the butt fumble. That was a pretty big fumble. I mean, it didn't really mean anything, but it essentially ended Mark Sanchez's career before he became a drunk, apparently. And
I would like to officially file a protest. I like to file a protest here. That is an interception, sir, not a fumble.
Yeah,
and I feel like you put that on here just for purely spiteful reasons.
Look, man, it was either that or 28-3, and I went the other direction. Ernest Biner fumbling on the 1 yard line. I mean, I hate the Browns, but even
Yeah.
I wouldn't wish that kind of torture on somebody. Super Bowl or not. Oh my God,
Yeah.
that was awful. That's just awful. Uh, the Jonathan Majors fumble is probably one of the biggest, and probably not getting enough credit for how bad of a fumble it was, because they were literally about to build the entire universe around Kang. I mean, again, people forget that, there were supposed to be two essentially Kang movies here, and they had to take all of that out because of his indiscretions, so to speak. And his star was on the rise. I mean, I didn't watch that Chihuly show or whatever you and Hutch were watching, and I haven't seen Creed other than the highlights that he was in, but his star was on the absolute rise. I saw Red Tails. I mean, the dude's an incredible actor, and the work that he did in, particularly at the end of the first season of Loki, is some of the best acting that you will ever see for something that makes, on paper, makes absolutely no sense. And they were like, you know what? This dude is so impressive. We're going to build this whole universe around him. And he fumbled like amazingly. It's hard to believe where his star ascension was to where it is now, where he is doing movies for the Daily Wire. Like, ask Trina Carano how well that went.
All right. So seriously. I gotta say, when you said fumble, Biner was the first thing I thought of, so I want to throw that out there. The other one that I don't know that it mattered, but the one that sticks in my mind was Leon Lett fumbling when he got time by Stevie. Like they still got killed in that game, but like that one stood out. I remember how much we used to kill Kang, and shout out to Sandman who hated Kang. And then I just remember watching that last episode of Loki and be like, oh my God, like that performance was like, I've been more intrigued. I've never been like more excited. Like it was just crazy. And I was just sitting there thinking like all the things we were about to get, because the obvious thing was like, after Thanos, where do we go? Dr. Doom makes sense, but like you can't get without the Fantastic Four. So they're going to use Kang, okay, I guess. But all of a sudden, I was like excited about that. Then I think, obviously it's like we know they're going to have to change what they can do. Quantumania was just that was horrible. Like it's just, that's like Avengers 2 to me. That's Avengers 2 and Iron Man 3 territory for me. But yeah, like that. Yeah. And that came on top of, like, we know we've screwed up with all this Disney Plus bullshit, and we've been stringing you along, and nobody really cares about this shit, but we're coming back hard. Oh, we need a couple more years to sort this out. My bad. So, yeah, it really kind of set that back.
And then the boomerang for MCU is like, you know what? To fix this, we got to bring back Robert Downey Jr., like as Dr. Doom, no less. Like we have to do a complete 180 and turn this thing completely in a different direction, because that should tell you how big of a F up he made, because I think they were done with him, and I think he was done with them, and so I'm sure they backed a truckloads of money to get him to come out of retirement to come and do this, just to take over the stink that this man left in his wake. Like, there's been career.
I believe on another podcast we might call that hot shotting.
Yeah, very true. Yes, but there's been career fumbles, man. Like, I'm sure I could come up with if I really thought about some career fumbles, whatever. But man, this is, and like I said, I saw that. He's doing, anti-woke Daily Wire movie or whatever. I'm like, bro, like we're done.
But
we're like
James
done.
Franco, Jonah Hill, Kevin Spacey, like
like I mean,
Gina Carano.
I mean, that's the That's the only like nerd comparison that I can think of, like off the top of my head, and only because of the link between Daily Wire. But like, whoa, it's so deep too. You know, you get caught allegedly. Well, not allegedly, he was found guilty or whatever of freaking abuse, domestic abuse on this white girl. And then like he's done like all the career things to try to fix it, to like get black people to get back on his side. He's the new black girlfriend, which he never dated any black people before in his previous life. As Megan Goods, got has a fairly decent reputation amongst like black people or whatever. So now I'm dating Megan Good, but she's a weirdo, like kind of Christian too. So like black people kind of skeptical of her as well. So of course, like like in the black community, it was like, yeah, of course he would pick her because that would be the one that would do some dumb shit like this. And now like this attempts to try to like fix it, it's just bad. It's just bad. And I don't understand. My daughter's a public relations major. Like, where's this harm in being like, you know what? Yeah, I messed up, like real bad. Just jump on the grenade and try to fix it. Like, there's nobody gets canceled. I mean, he's not canceled because he's still working. I'm sure he's drawing a version of a check. There's no cancel. I mean, he's black. That doesn't help in this regard. But there's probably a path to redemption here, but it ain't what you're currently doing. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's the classic, like, the cover-up is worse than the crime. Like, just at a certain point, once they got you, just, like, fess up.
Yeah, whatever. Just jump on a grenade, bro. Like, I mean, it can't get too much worse. But, yeah. So, shout out R.I.P. to Kang, Dynasty 1 and 2. Shout out to R.I.P. to your career, because once you start going to the Daily Wire right-wing nut job movies, bruh, it's a wrap, like completely. Like we're done.
And I'm surprised they like they showed the what is it, the Council of Kangs or whatever at the end of Quantumania. Like, I'm like, why did you include, like, if you ever want to use that character, like, you kind of can't. You showed him as every possible incarnation. Like, it would have been a character you could have recasted as some different incarnation, but they kind of showed him as all of them. So, like, that to me was, they might have wanted to cut that cord a little bit sooner.
There probably was a conversation amongst some people that make some money. Like, you know what? We already spent a bunch of money on this shit. Like, I mean, was it that bad? Like, how bad did he smack her? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'm not trying even to be funny. I'm really trying, because I think I have a general idea about what happens in these situations, because there's always going to be somebody that's like, I mean, how bad is it? Okay, how many children how many younglings did he kill? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, was it the good younglings, or was it the younglings that we don't really care about? Like,
was it the ones that were just going to be annoying? Were they all like little Anakins too?
Yeah. So which one is it really? So shouts out to your career, Jonathan Majors, because you really bad fun. Sorry about that Seahawks thing there. I was torn. It was 28-3 or that one, and I went with that one to poke the bear. So all right,
I saw you.
All right, so let's jump into the episode 5 here of the X-Men. This is the second part of our show. My thought of getting this in under an hour is probably a reach. So it's Weapon X, Lies, and DVDs. I'm going to jump in here too with where they ripped that off from. God, you could be 45 and listening to this. You might not know what that reference is from. But yeah. So we finally get this Wolverine-centric story. They pull from this classic X-Men cover of, from back in the day, where you see Black Widow at the end of episode 4. Black Widow, Captain America, and Wolverine. A classic cover, like a classic in the sense that if you were collecting comics at that time, you were going to pay a little bit of money to get this book if you didn't have it. I know I did. I know I have it in my collection currently or whatever. But yes, essentially, hey, Wolverine meets with Cap and Black Widow. Like, hey, I'm getting the band back together, for this job about Weapon X. Now, this comic actually
is this Jim Lee's first. Like, this is like Jim Lee first cover or something like that.
It was something like that. Yeah, it was something. And this book will cost you a little bit of money now if you have a grade 10 copy. I thought I put it on here, but maybe I didn't. But yeah, it's
I saw
yeah.
some in here.
It, Yeah, it's to deal with something with Weapon X, and Wolverine alludes, so he's going to get the band back together. Okay, so moving forward, before I continue on this will literally be the last nice thing I say about Weapon X and comic books. Like, if you're a comic book reader, any Weapon X story in the comics is really not very good. Now, maybe they changed in the modern comics, but I doubt it because comics generally don't get better as they get older. They get a lot worse. It's some of the most confusing, unnecessary, irrelevant chase comic book crap that they did through the 90s and into the early 2000s. Tell me when I'm wrong.
You sent the list of like the hits and misses of Weapon X. There's like 20 people. I was like, where Mespero was in Weapon X? This is some neogenic recombinator bullshit here.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Oh yeah, everybody was in Weapon X. Oh, okay, okay.
All right. Yeah, it is not good. I mean, and we've chased those stories down. In my personal whatever, I've chased down Weapon X stories and read those things, and they're just not good because
No.
It's because honestly, they're trying to unpeel an onion while also leaving the onion intact because they just want to still be able to mine stories in the future from it. And so instead of revealing what it actually is, they only keep giving you bits and pieces, which makes it even all the more confusing with current continuity. And it just doesn't make any sense. And that's pretty much it. Like, that's all of Weapon X. All of
it. Yeah.
I just can't. So, but yeah, that's it. There will be nothing good said about this. You wrapped up the Weapon X storyline in 35 minutes. You probably gave it more than enough time. That's basically it. So, all right. So Weapon X is first referenced back in Incredible Hulk 181. It's also Wolverine's first appearance. Yeah. If you're on YouTube and you can see where that comma is placed, if you have a grade 10 copy of Incredible Hulk 181, yeah, that's $120,000. Yeah. So shouts out to you if you have that particular comic book. And then, yeah, if you have the Weapon X comic book where they try to reveal this story from before, like $500. I mean, this again, I'm shitting on it, but apparently collectors are not, brother.
Yeah, I don't think I have that. Marvel Comics Presents was dicey at best. Be like, oh, okay, this could be good. And it was like, oh, you're still doing this. All right, okay, whatever. So yeah, it was like a bad 2-in-1.
Yeah, very bad. Yes, I 1,000% agree with that. So yeah, it's so they start this. We've done Weapon X in the original cartoon as well, where we got to see Alpha Flight, which we'll talk about here in a little bit as well. I mean, they already alluded to this. They even told like little flashback stories from the comic books too, with Maverick as well, like in the original series. So I mean, this is not uncharted territory. And then the other person that's in freaking Weapon X that we're not going to speak of, besides Garrison Kane, is Deadpool. We won't speak on it because it's just not like there. And again, previous to the other episode, Disney, Marvel is like, we are not paying Rob Liefeld a fucking nickel. Like, if it's a nickel, it's too much. And we're going to use Garrison Kane? Bet. We're just going to kill him within the first 5 minutes. Like, because he's useless. Just like they killed everybody in that Deadpool 2 movie as well. Because they're all useless characters. Every single one. It's just the quote chasing Amy, big guns, big tit era of freaking comic books in the 90s.
For me, he was always like, oh, what's better than a superhero with one robot arm? Superhero with 2 robot arms. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, man, this is that particular comic book artist at his worst. Honestly, like, this at his worst. And I know Fabian Messina got to be sitting at home sometimes on the toilet like, this motherfucker. Like, man, I can't. I mean, because of you, I can't get my part of the residuals because of you. Because we are not giving this man a penny more than we have to. And I don't blame him because he's an idiot. But man, oh man. So yeah. But yeah, all these other people
has he twittered off on this yet? Like, has he spoken up about how that his masterpiece was again misrepresented and appropriated?
Just the thing I showed you from the first, or I think I sent in the group chat from the first episode, is that, you know, where they didn't have like all the other sorry X-Force people, that they didn't put them in there, and he was like, well, because they knew they'd have to give me money if they use my characters and blah 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 blah. So other than that, no. But again, it's not like they don't owe Deadpool, but there had to be something like if he talks, we got to pay him this. If he doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Like there has to be like that minutia of freaking billable lawyer hours in there down to the cent of like what they could actually
pay 25 seconds of the song before you have to
exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's down to the absolute minutia, and they did the minimum that they could to have any of his characters in there. I mean, they let Garrison Kane talk in here, but yeah, the only Weapon X or those people that anybody care about, Wolverine, now X-23 is very popular, Deadpool and Sabretooth. That's it. Like nobody else. Like that's it. Everybody else that's in that list that I sent you, when we look at the list from the episode where they showed the DVDs, like man, nobody cares. It's just a bunch of freaking random ass characters that they just put in. Oh, you know what? Let's put them in Weapon X. You know what I'm saying? Let's put them in the NWO Red. Yeah, whatever. Like, because we don't have anything else for them to do, so let's put them in the Wolfpack. It's just fucking awful, man. God, I'm fired up. It's only 9:30. I can't be this fired up about that. All right. But anywho, moving on. Back to the show. So the premise of this episode is that Wolverine's got the band back together. Our team here to start off, Wolverine, Morph, Garrison Kane, Sabretooth, Lady Deathstrike, and Maverick, who sucks. God, Maverick sucks. But there's a podcast somewhere about us talking about Maverick. I wish I could find it because there's like 500 podcasts. But I wish I could find it because we went off because this is he's a terrible character. Like there's just nothing redeeming about Maverick either. Nothing.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
I mean, interesting design, and it was like, wait, is there nothing here? There's really nothing. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, well, he's got to cure himself from the legacy virus. What? Anyway, so. Yeah, he gets this team together under the premise that, I heard Dr. Cornelius is doing new experiments again. It's the file that he got from Captain America and Black Widow. So he gets the team together. Everybody's got something against Dr. Cornelius, so we're going to go take him down. So as they're flying over, which I would assume to be somewhere in the Canadian Rockies or whatever, the plane gets hit by birds that look to be infected with something. They crash land. Again, why couldn't we have done Wendigo here, Brother Beaver?
I don't know. Does Rob Liefeld own that too?
Yeah, or Dave Cockrum. Somebody owned that shit, and because they did not put Wendigo, I'm like, why are you putting Wendigo in this? This would make all the sense in the world to do Wendigo here, but no. But yeah. So a team gets separated again. Garrison Kane gets impaled very quickly on a tree or whatnot, and then Logan is missing for a second, and he comes back, and then they finally notice that Logan doesn't have his adamantium. So that's our premise. Like, hey, we're still trying to get over this thing, even though our ship has been destroyed. And that's that. So we do have to talk about this a little bit, though. Let's split up, gang. So they go to the facility. Like, all right, well, we need a new ship. As Morph bring this up, like, we can't, get out of here without a ship. Like, we need a ship to get out of here. And then like, all right, well, let's split it up. We'll go and then try to figure out how we're going to do it. They get inside the facility. They see a lot of dead people, like everywhere, all clawed up, all dead or whatever, before they finally come on Dr. Cornelius here, who is in charge of the Weapon X program. He's been infected, y'all, by something. It's the Brood. Oh my goodness. I can't believe you weren't hyped for this when this happened. Again, I watched this at super early in the morning and I was super hyped. Let me finally get this Brood episode.
I was hyped when I saw it, but I was like, you obviously you could tell something was going on, but I did not think that they were going here because it's
Yeah, I
not.
did.
Even though there is the picture that they gave us, but he's not inherently the Brood are not inherently a Wolverine thing, and this was very much like, all right, let's give you every bit of Wolverine you could possibly have. So I was hyped. I was surprised. I did not see it coming because I was like, what the heck's going on? The one thing I kept like waiting for was I was waiting to see like, oh, they're going to show us like dead Gladiator and Heather Hudson somewhere in this lab too. Are they going to like get rid of them? That was the one thing I was like looking for.
Well, we'll talk about more here in a bit,
Yeah.
and Alpha Flight. But I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this makes sense. They tried to do this. I think that's the next slide. They tried to do this in the original cartoon, and it was awful. I mean, they
It
do
was
give us like a
horrible.
little, yeah, they do give us a little shout out of like a picture of a Brood in one of the other episodes, but they don't do a full Brood episode. It's Love in Vain. It's not great. Yeah.
I did not remember Deathstrike being part of that story.
Yeah, just
She
very
was?
briefly. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not good. It's
All I
primarily
remember, and we already made this joke, Cody. Yeah, all I
Cody.
remember.
Yes. Cody comes back. Cody comes back, to bring, Cody is the boy that Rogue kissed, who, and he got all messed up. But he comes back and he's like, we won't be together, Rogue. Yeah. As I was watching it, all it made me want to do is to keep. I kept referencing our conversation about Rogue and Gambit's lack of education from a previous podcast. I was like, Cody probably didn't finish high school either. It's like there's no way Cody.
Well, in Cody's defense, he was put into a coma when he was like.
That's fair. He might have had a little brain damage. He had to go take some
maybe
different
he
classes.
went back and got his GED, but he definitely had to get re-educated for a profession.
Yeah, it's so watered down because. Go ahead. I'm sorry, but yeah, they had.
It was bad. This was the worst part about. You mentioned this earlier. The worst part about the last 2 seasons is like they're like, okay, well, we can still try and tell these stories, but we've like botched continuity, and we're up against the Saturday morning comic book code. Like, what do we got? So you get all these weird like. Kind of the Phalanx Covenant, kind of some of Bishop stuff, kind of a Brood story. Like it was just like it started to look like this seems familiar, but I'm not sure exactly what story this is.
Yeah, and this is what I sent in the group chat the other day. It's like like this when you watch the OG, it's like, oh, this was made for kids. Like it is made for kids, even though we were in our mid-20s watching it. Shout out mid-20s, but the new show is not made for kids. I mean, this episode is as violent as you could think of. I mean, there's blood everywhere, and there's lots of killings. And and again, we talked about this before. The Wolverine in the original series is useless because if he's not fighting a robot, he can't impale and kill anybody. Well, in this, a lot of people get impaled and killed, and it makes it for the better. And this is like the second episode in the 2 seasons where it gets kind of really gory, which the other one would be the one with the Goblin Queen, which was very bloody and gory too. And I think maybe we get one episode where we can kind of go all the way off and, forget a comic book code, forget the fact that we're on Disney. Like this is just a part of this series now. And this was that. But yeah, we get the Brood. Again, I'll include it in the links when I post these. Like we reviewed the entire Brood saga on one of the comic book shows, like the entire one, like from the beginning to the end. As we were going over popular X-Men stories, we did review this, like probably for several episodes because it's a little bit long. So the Brood make their first appearance in X-Men Uncanny X-Men 155, grade 10 copy, $168. Memorable cover because everybody thought Colossus died. Shout out for a 50-year-old comic book or 40-year-old comic book. He didn't die.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. He didn't really die. It's a classic Claremont story. It spanned from 161 to 167 as the Brood saga. And that particular episode, remember that we get that, and they did this in the cartoon. That was the acai bowl, the flying fish. That whale thing in the sky.
The Conti, I believe.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and it's all that's awful too. I mean, these are
Hey, I just noticed this, and I forgot Tiger was in that. Don't tell me Corsair's pushing up on some other cat lady.
Man, you know, Couture, man. He is done with Earth Pussy, bro. Anyway, he's been done. So, yeah,
Oh,
these
what's
are.
up, girl? I see you covered in fur and got a tail. Let me get that number.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, that old Dave Chappelle joke. You know how long it took me to teach this monkey. Anyway, so this is why we go over an hour, folks. So
Well,
these books
also
are
the other
good.
thing that Brood gave us was this was the beginning of the forbidden romance between Colossus and Kitty Pryde, right?
Oh yeah, there's that. Yeah, that's right, because she was so traumatized by him being killed. This also gave us Deathbird, right? Yeah, like
Yeah,
yeah,
because this was one of her early things. Does
yeah,
this does this directly lead us to Mohawk Storm as well as a result of her experience?
maybe a little bit after this for sure. Yeah, those again, if you've listened to us before, like those books, like Brood Saga and really Claremont in this particular era, these are not one shit books. They are extremely wordy, and you will be there for a minute trying to get through all the exposition before you even get the dialogue. Again, that's a classic Claremont story right there. It gives you every element that you could possibly think of. So yeah, it's just good stuff. It's I have this book floating around somewhere in a long box. It's a classic X-Men story. But yeah, if you wanted to get that first Brood, it's going to cost you a little bit. At least you want a good copy. Oh, too far.
All right, go $9 a month.
Yeah, so yeah, you can get a regular copy. Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, go to Marvel Unlimited, y'all, and just read to your heart's content if you can find the book.
If you can find it, recommend searching with Google to find the link.
The link to your. Make sure your account is already logged in. One of the worst. So Weapon X lies in DVDs. So as the team splits up, they go to Dr. Cornelius's lab. They find like all these DVDs. The shout out, I preferred Laserdisc line from from Lady Deathstrike there. And then again, it's just a bunch of DVDs of people that have been through this program. Again, many of the names nobody cares about. When I saw Phantom X on there, I was like, nope,
I was worried.
We're done.
I was worried.
Yeah, I was like, yep, you know what? We're doing this. We're absolutely out. Nope. These are just a bunch of people. Again, nobody cares about anybody besides X-23, Wolverine, Deadpool. And anyway. But yeah, that's it. Okay, so you had to been again, you could be a certain age. So this is a takeoff of a bad 90s indie movie called Sex Lies and Videotapes, starring which I was going to word this the whole time. Somebody that we are very familiar with hated that particular lead actress with a passion. And not a particular fan of her either myself, but yeah, it's just a bad indie movie. If you're a fan of James Spader, okay, but it's just a bad indie movie that people really enjoyed. And I was like, I remember watching him like, this is a terrible freaking movie. But anyway,
James Spader, like, look at his filmography. He's like, trying to tell y'all I'm a freak.
Yeah, he did
check out The Secretary next.
Yeah. He was on a run too. Yeah, there was that movie. There was the one he did with Rob Lowe after Rob Lowe's scandal. Ain't that James Spader too? Bad Influence. I'm pretty sure that's after. Yeah. Anyway, so they're looking for that. They're stalked by the Brood. They put in a DVD. They called it, that's Maggot, right? That they were running these tests to see if they could, use the Brood DNA with the mutant DNA to see if they could figure it out, and the Brood DNA would just take over. That was Maggot that they did the test on where it didn't work.
That's what it looked like to me, and hopefully it was, because then we won't have to get Maggot's story. But I think it also could have been generic mutant number 6.
Okay,
yeah, but no, I was trying to figure that out, and that also occurred to me, but I don't know.
Yeah, Maggot sucks. Also, yeah, they're not a good time there either in the comic books. So they're getting stalked by the Brood. They figure out, well, the Brood only going to mate with the strongest, and who's the best at doing whatever they do. They also run into In Stasis Omega Red, who, again, if you listen to us, we've run that character into the ground where he belongs and stomped on his grave, which he can't because he's undead apparently. But he's just a terrible character, just an absolute awful character as well. But we'll get back to Omega Red momentarily. Okay, so a ruse on the show and in the comics. So basically what they're having to do, Wolverine has created this plan to go back and get his adamantium. Like, that was the plan. It wasn't able to take down Weapon X. He did incomplete without his claws. We're jumping to the end here. And, you know, when he disappeared from when the plane crashed, apparently he was infected by the Brood. And so instead of going to the vehicle chamber, he was actually going to the adamantium chamber to try to get his adamantium back. We'll get to, you know, that part in a second. So we've reviewed this comic book before. It was at the end of season 1 where Magneto removes the adamantium from Wolverine. Yeah. And we've done that. What's that? The CGI price on that? If you have it with the foil copy or whatever, $150. Not bad on a grade 10 copy. And then he eventually does get his adamantium back. And I texted y'all yesterday. I was like, how long did you think that was between him losing his stuff back in 1991 or 2 or whatever, 93, I believe it was, and then getting it back? It was 1999. It was 6 years.
I did not have. That's 8 years. 91 to 99. I did not have 8 years in the Wolverine adamantium raffle.
Yeah, can you imagine? But I kind of vaguely remember, because obviously I'm back in the game at that time. Like, oh, there were these episodes, like these things, like on the 25th issue of Wolverine, and then the 50th issue, I think they maybe brought back Claremont or somebody, or the 75th. Like, it was all these teases that he was going to get it back, and then he didn't. And it just went on for years. And shouts out, if you got a bunch of Wolverine individual comic books, you are a masochist, because those books suck.
They're terrible.
Man, I mean, there is not, I can't even think of one run, let alone multiple runs in a Wolverine solo book that's been any good. I mean, horrible. Man, just absolutely terrible stuff. And so it goes on for years that he doesn't get it. It finally happens in, what's that, 175, 145, which is not, he should have done it in 150, I guess. And it goes on, Wolverine, because remember, Sabretooth got the adamantium before Wolverine got it back, and then they
killed Cypher and took the adamantium off of him, if I recall correctly, and then it went to Sabretooth. And then
and then he has to fight under the guise of Apocalypse. Like, if you can defeat the enhanced Sabretooth with adamantium, without you, whatever, I'll give you back your adamantium, but you have to become like my Horseman Death. And he does, and then there's this time where Wolverine is the Horseman Death. He has his whole face covered, and I'm like, come on, man, he's like 5'2". Y'all don't really know that's Wolverine. Like, seriously, like y'all are the greatest world's detectives here, and that's the story. But it was so long in between, like getting his powers back. I mean, Storm was without her powers for a bit, but not that long. I mean, it was probably a couple of years that she's without her powers, but it wasn't 8 years. Like, that's just crazy to me. But that's, again, if you have those books, I mean, again, we reviewed definitely the Death of a Dream and him getting his adamantium pulled off. And then they fix that very quickly here as we talk about, like, oh yeah, that happened here. All right, we're going to give him back his adamantium because, again, like you said, every X-Men story, every Wolverine story, let's just stick them all in here at once. Get it out of the way.
So I was thinking, I was a little bit surprised because, again, with my theory of we're going to get Magneto and Gambit as Horsemen, I thought they might throw Wolverine in the mix as well. But seemingly, if the adamantium restored, then that takes that storyline off the table. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm fine with that though too. So they get down into one of the adamantium chamber. And then they run into Maverick, who was split off with Wolverine in the search. And he drops the classic Aliens line, "Game over, man. It's game over." And I'm like, God, I'm watching that. I'm like, I know at least 3 people that got that joke personally. So I was like, okay. And so Wolverine, and then we'll talk about it in a second, that shot from that particular comic book. But yeah, they wind up getting into this fight battle, and they wind up breaking the stasis chamber for Omega Red. So awakening Omega Red, he can't be infected because he's undead. They established that, and that they need to save Wolverine. You know, it's like, even if we don't, like, we leave them here, the Brood are going to take over the world, like, here soon enough. Like, once they get out, I'm not sure how they hadn't gotten out already, but once they get out, you know, it's game over for the Earth at this particular point. But yes, we get a chance to see Brood enhance Wolverine. It leads to that cover. So that's a classic X-Men story as well. This is a Brood story. This which is from one of your favorite eras, sir, from when the X-Men are in Australia, correct?
Yeah. Very underrated stretch for me. But yeah, no, this is where you start to see the Easter eggs coming. I'm like, oh, I know what we're gonna see here.
Yeah, and that was me at whatever o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing right now. You know, and again, it's, you know, grade 10 copy, $124. I mean, it's a classic cover of the X-Men, and again, you know, an underrated era of the X-Men as they are. You know, after the Siege Perilous?
Yeah. No, before this. Well, I don't know where this was. 234. I think that would have been before, maybe right around. But yeah, no, this is after like essentially the X Factor team splits off. I think it's after Fall of the Mutants. They're dead and they go to the Outback. So yeah, no, that's like to me, like my favorite comics. A lot of times are you get the B team in terms of like the roster, but like the A creative team, and just tell good stories with characters you didn't expect. Those are the kind of the books I like the best.
Is this Silvestri at this point?
Yeah, that would have
okay.
Been. I don't know if that's him on that, but it looks like it based on the signature, but it's definitely his era.
Yeah, and so, you know, we get that cover shot. Wolverine, you know, starts killing everything and everybody. And then they come up with this plan, like, no, look, man, Sabretooth's like, dude, he was not where he was supposed to be. Like, he was trying to get his adamantium back. I knew I was right. Like, I think he even used "damn it" on this cartoon. He's like, damn, I knew I was right. He's trying to get it back. And then Morph is like, well, you know, the only way to solve this is to actually allow him to get it back, because it can take the Brood out of him, and he's going to survive that because they can't survive the adamantium process. And so they're going to give him what he wants. You know, so we need another ruse. So, you know, he dresses up as Cyclops to get him to come out. And then,
that was great.
Yeah, and he does come out. That was kind of corny.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Morph here momentarily. But he gets him to come out, and, you know, eventually the Sabretooth goes off script because, you know, he hates Wolverine, and they get him back on script with Lady Deathstrike or whatever that gets him, you know, back into the chamber. He gets the adamantium bonnet back to him, and he comes back out actually after Omega Red comes back to start killing most of these Brood. You know, and it's, I'm back, baby. He's got his claws, and he starts. I would say this is our cartoon version of a Berserker Rage, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
we get the Frank Miller cover here, right?
Yeah, I mean, we get the. I mean, he goes off, like, he's killing and things and everywhere. And again, this is as gory as it's going to get for this particular cartoon, and he's, you know, kicking ass and taking names all over the place. And I don't that's what I was saying. I was like, okay, this is what we're supposed to do. And I never thought about the idea that, like, oh, yeah, if we just get all these Wolverine stories in at once, we're perfectly fine.
Yeah. The one thing I kept thinking about was, like, remember how bad the animation was for the Wolverine Sabretooth fight?
Oh,
in, like,
yeah. Episode
4. They would, like, basically grapple and then monkey flip each other.
Yeah. And it's a brutal fight that him and Sabretooth had before, because Sabretooth is all jacked up, even when they get back onto the plane.
Yeah.
You know, but they figure out, like, okay, we're going to leave. We leave all the Brood, you know, down in the building with Omega Red fighting, killing some, and then knocking him down as well. And they blow up the entire building, killing all of the Brood, you know, before they get back out onto the plane. And, you know, we have this scene between Tomo, which they told this story about essentially somebody that's a lapdog for some bigger person that you're always doing what they say, but, you know, they'll never love you. You know, and they teased this fact in season 1 that, you know, Morph is in love with Logan. And, you know, obviously those feelings aren't reciprocated in that regard, but he's also a friend of him too. And he's telling him, like,
Sabretooth taking shots. Sabretooth taking shots.
Yeah, he was. He was very close to maybe a line there.
Yeah, like the fortunate that HR wasn't on the team. It wasn't part of the team that they put together here.
Yeah, we forgot to screen that part for HR. And he tells him, he's like, like, you got your claws back, he's like, what is that? Some of us can only be who they are.
Yeah.
So I am what I am. And he's like, don't that make you sad, Logan? Like, it makes me sad that you feel that you can only be this particular person, and it essentially goes off, they do the claw thing where he's looking at the claws, like the classic, Hulk cover, looking at himself through his claws. And that was it. Like, I mean, I thought it was really good. Like I said, I didn't think about the idea. It's like, well, let's just put all this stuff, because there's not going to be another Wolverine story, y'all. If y'all are getting yourself hyped, it's been a season and a half at this point. Like, this is it for Logan. He is a secondary character on this show, which is what it could and should be. And I'm perfectly fine with it because we've had more than enough Wolverine, man.
I mean, I think that was the great thing about the first season was the movies had become so Wolverine. So even the X-Men movies had become so Wolverine centric. Plus, we were still getting bad Wolverine movies. It was like enough is enough. So I thought it was great. The thing with Morph, that the story was like Tomo was he became everything he needed to be for his samurai, and she says it ended badly for him. Which you think like, okay, so he died, but that's not actually the worst outcome for Morph. Because Morph realizes like, because Morph's like, you were there for me, I'm here for you, and he realizes that Wolverine lied to him, and it's more about like probably the realization that whatever he was holding out for that relationship, like that was the part that was broken, and that no matter what he is, no matter what he becomes, he will not be enough for Wolverine and whatever they were going to be. So that was pretty strong. Like I thought that was a really great element of the story of like that, the breakdown of Morph. I'll be interested to see where he goes from here. Actually,
Well, I think,
is this AI? I was going to ask you, like, did somebody do this?
I have no idea. I just saw it.
All right,
but it's easier for me to do this than try to clip those pictures out of that show. So we talked about Jubilee, talked a little bit about Bishop, and now we can talk a little bit about Morph. Okay, so again, in the original series, a character created to kill because he was useless, and they bring him back, on his little revenge plot or whatever, because he's been turned evil by Sinister, but he's really just kind of sporadically used or whatever. So nobody cared about Morph. He was only created for the TV show because they probably couldn't use Mimic or whatever it was back then in terms of the trademarks and copyrights. So we have Age of Apocalypse where they bring Morph back in the comic books, and they create him into a character that's still kind of a joke. They take his face off and they just create him as this, white-faced character, and he can transform into people like he always does. But in that book, he's actually useful, as a character. And so when they bring the cartoon back and they bring him back in here, they're using this version that's a little bit more useful. And he's still with the jokes. He still cracks the things, but they've given him an emotional weight for him that grounds the character. And it's still made for jokes, for sure, to get jokes off, but it also has a little bit like they're not killing Morph. If they kill Morph now, it would probably hit harder than Gambit's death, to be honest with you, because you can't. You've given him too much at this point. And so to kill him would be cruel for viewers at this point. So maybe they will do it. But yeah, Morph's emotional arc from original series to now is a chef kiss. Like, again, call HR, like send him to a sensitivity training seminar or some shit, because you made a character that was a joke into actually somebody that, people actually care about. And that is not an easy task for more. But
yeah. Well, I think we were remiss, and wasn't there a stink like even before the show came out, because in the character cards at the end, they indicated his pronouns were they and them.
Yes, before.
Right. Yeah. I was thinking about that. We've been misgendering him here this whole.
Yes, that's right. And that's on us. And I think they are a very important character to this show at this point. Like you can't. They are as important as any other character that they've established on this show.
Yeah.
And hopefully,
if you had that on your bingo card, kudos to you.
Let me tell you something, man. In 10 plus years we've been doing this show, us praising Kitty Pryde, Morph, and Jubilee, the astronomical odds of that shit happening are astronomical. Because, but
if you wanted proof, we were in the Matrix.
Exactly. But you could also say, shouldn't this be how it is? Like a character that is 10, 20 years old at this point in Morph should have some change, emotional depth to them and Jubilee over the course of time. Like that's how it's supposed to work. You know, in the original series, they just kept Jubilee as whatever. And this, you know, in the original series, they kept Morph as what, like it was just a joke character.
Yeah. Didn't
really do anything. There was no growth. And now to be able to see that between those two characters on the show, I was like, man, yeah, all right, Morph, like absolutely. But yeah, so if you're watching, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say it still does mess with me when somebody appears. I'm like, whoa, where did it come from? And I'm like, that's right. It gets me every time.
Yeah, it does.
Like, and particularly this one because it's like, Puck is here.
Oh, yeah. Hot tag from Puck. Oh, never mind. But yes, that's the shout out to the Weapon X show, or the Weapon X originality of him being in Alpha Flight. You know, he transforms into everybody in Alpha Flight except Aurora and what's the North Star, right?
We didn't see a Snowbird.
I think Snowbird was I thought Snowbird was in a previous episode, though.
Probably.
Yeah, maybe not Shaman, but I thought Snowbird
I don't think he's going to change into Shaman. I don't think they're going to change into Shaman.
No, well, yeah, love the white man. But yeah, so we get all of these Alpha Flight characters, get Silver Samurai in there as well. Of course, they had to do Deadpool because of that, but they didn't let him talk. And this is the second time he's done Spider-Man. That leads me to think that there's plans for Spider-Man. I don't know why, but you keep dropping him in there. It's just kind of weird. But yeah, man, shouts out to Moore. Shouts out to getting Weapon X done in 35 minutes. I'm perfectly fine. Yeah. So could you Google real fast, what is the next episode? Does it give us a clue as to where we're going with this show?
Yeah, I was looking at this earlier. Not earlier today, but I was trying to figure out what comes next because I was kind of lukewarm on the Apocalypse stuff, but I was kind of hyped after this one, so I was like, all right, I remember looking at the titles and not being clear on what was coming next.
Okay, that's fine. I'm curious as to how that's going to work, but we'll be back on the regular schedule. I'm going back to work actually on Monday, so yeah.
So episode 6 is danger.exe, which is a danger. That's where the danger room becomes an actual entity, I think. Then Strangeland, Savage Heart, The Dead Man's Hand, and Survival of the Fittest. So it sounds like we got a danger story, which I don't know anything what they're going to spin around that. Then we're going to the Savage Land, and then I'm assuming we're going to be back to Apocalypse and get the Gambit.
Yeah, to end the season, right? Okay. I mean, I'm fine. I'm good. Watching this show is literally a highlight of my week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, I'm an early riser to begin with for working out purposes. Just giving me an extra freaking half hour to get started. I'm going to watch this show at 4 o'clock in the morning, and like, oh my gosh, you know, and my mind's already racing. Like, oh, okay, what are we gonna do? Where are we going? Like, again, like I said, kids don't watch cartoons. This is completely made for adults, and this episode in particular was completely made for adults who collect comic books. This is the most comic book centric version of it's short of the Phoenix Saga, which they just were ripping literally off the pages of the comic book. This is by far the most comic book centric one that I think that they've done, where they were like, hey, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you this, we're going to keep it in that world, and there you go. And that's a gazillion comic books across a gazillion different eras, but You know, if you read half a gazillion, you probably got all those reference points, and you were probably happy for it. And I would be one of those half a gazillion people. And you know, I popped for all of those moments that they did. So shout out. Okay. Well, like I said, we'll be back on a regularly scheduled program. Hopefully this week. You know, I mean, the show comes out on Wednesday. We'll figure it out. You know, before the end of the week, and get this out. Much easier to do one episode as opposed to 3, y'all. Especially one that was so freaking comic book heavy. Like that was like, oh wait, I remember this. Oh, wait, but I don't remember exactly where it came from. I'm gonna need to Google and look and image search for a lot of these things. So, all right. So as the X-Men, the animated music plays out on the podcast side, I am the producer and I'm signing off. Go ahead and sign off, Brother B.
All right, see y'all next time.
Everybody, we'll see y'all in a week or so. Peace. Stop recording.